Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Transformers fans everywhere, welcome back. LPS Last Prime Speculator, here to bring you another Transformers speculation as always. Today, we're going to focus on magic, the history and lore of magic in the Transformers universe. We know that Transformers Last Night focused heavily on the term magic and science. Anthony Hopkins started out the movie saying magic does exist, and Merlin ended up finding what we found out to be was the Knights and Dragonstorm, where he was introduced to the staff and introduced to the human beings what they called at that time of the Dark Ages, magic. And that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to touch on Quintessa, and we're also going to touch on a Transformers cartoon called Madman's Paradise. I'm sure you guys have heard a Raider Decepticon in King Arthur's court. This is the other story. I think this story is actually where they got the idea of Quintessa, the evil sorcerer, the prime of life, and that's what we're going to focus on. So let's get right to it. Now, again, the Decepticon Raiders in King Arthur's court was rumored to be the idea of where they got the King Arthur thing. I think I have possibly found the idea where they got the Quintessa idea based off of this little cartoon episode through the G1 Transformers cartoon. I can't remember if they were connected, but wait till I expose this and show you guys what I have in store for you. Before we start, though, let's kind of learn about magic in the Transformers lore, okay? Magic is a mysterious, supernatural force wielded by members of numerous species to accomplish various things. Black magic, to use of supernatural powers of magic for evil and selfish purposes. Science is an effort to understand or to understand better the history of the natural world and how the natural world works, with observable physical evidence as the basis of understanding about the study of the natural world based on the facts learned throughout experiments and observations. Dark science is a source of power residing in every transformer in a dormant state. It seems to be related to the powers of their god and until a deep understanding of the possibilities of their actual heritage. So there's a little briefing of the idea of magic through the Transformers lore and idea of throughout Transformers education, pretty much, right? We kind of learned what magic and science are. We compared the two because Transformers Last Night focused heavily on this. What inspired me to do this was the scene where Merlin obviously inherited the staff from Dragonstorm and the Guardian Knights. I keep saying Dragonstorm, Guardian Knights, whatever. And when he inherited the staff, the armor turned glowed. You see the cross get it. They inherited some Cybertronian technology, almost a human upgrade in a way. And that's what we're going to focus on. Madman's Paradise. So I'm basically going to educate you guys a little bit on the Madman's Paradise and kind of go from there and everything. And then we're going to speculate at the end. So bear with me. We're going to do a little Transformers education to get started. Millions of years ago, the Quintesson Mara-Al-Utha, I hope I said that right, was convicted of crimes of sorcery and exiled into the dimension of Menonia. Here, magic was a commonplace, and the exile power grew under the protection known as the Golden One. Now let's learn about the realm of Menonia. Menonia is accessed by a Quintesson transport device hidden on Cybertron. It seems likely that Menonia is the fact exists of the alternate dimension, and whether the name Menonia refers to the dimension as whole or merely one world is still unclear. Menonia's technology is equivalent to Earth's Middle Ages. However, magic is more prevalent. So in this time, this is basically what I think the idea of Camelot is in the live-action universe. And magic is prevalent. Basically, this sorcerer, Mara-Al, was convicted of a crime of sorcery. Remember that, okay? Now let's learn about the known habitats in this Earth's Middle Ages area, okay? In this episode. There was obviously humans, there were dragons, there were bird people, they were humanoid with wings that had fleets of heads of birds, there were tree centaurs, strange creatures that seemed to be part of the central part of Earth, woodbots, and also known as reptile birds, a small dragon, pterodactyl-like creature. Right? Very, very interesting, right? We're kind of seeing what we got. Now let's learn about Mara-Al-Utha. The sly and deceitful Mara-Al-Utha is a bombastic Quintesson sorcerer, banished long ago by his fellow Quintessons. Mara-Al-Utha has taken the identity as the Red Wizard, using every form of trickery at his disposal to ensure that he reigns over Menonia. His sorcery allows him to take other forms, one of his favorites as his former master and favorite student. So basically, he can turn into a human. So he goes from a Quintesson form sorcerer, but he can transform into a human, very similar to a pretender. Hold that thought. As well as issued a variety of destructive spells such as lightning bolts, he added his work by an army of robots constructed from wood and faithful pets known as gargoyles. And that is Mara-Al-Utha. I hope I'm saying the name correctly. It's kind of hard to say it, but very, very similar to someone we're familiar with in Transformers Last Night, wouldn't you say? Now, let's learn about the Golden One, who ended up taking the aid and basically taking this Red Wizard as his apprentice. The Golden One. The Golden One is a powerful sorcerer who rules over the magical world of Menonia, another dimension. He draws his power directly from the sunlight, so he becomes progressively debilitated when he's cut off from the solar radiation. He can survive an extreme, prolonged divergence, however, and may very well be as known as immortal. His powers include shapeshifting into a dragon from an opening dimension portals. He might have enough energy to voice his spells at a given volume, or else they will not work. So basically, he's powerful enough. He uses the radiation from the sun to make himself more powerful, and he can transform into a dragon. This was the Red Wizard's apprentice. Very interesting as well. Now, I'm basically gonna brief you on this little history of this episode called Madman's Paradise in this Transformers cartoon, and then we're gonna connect all of it, and then we're gonna speculate. Madman's Paradise, Transformers cartoon. The Golden One ruled the land of Menonia in the peace until the Quintessons banished the criminal, Mara-Al-Utha, to his world of practicing sorcery. The Golden One eventually tried to help Myra adjust to the living on another world and teach him good ways to use his magic for good. However, the Quintessons' action and attitude made this job difficult. After several instances of Mara-Al-Utha causing his experiments to explode, an angry Golden One declared the Quintessons should go live in a cave. However, when they arrived at the cave and the Golden One indicated Mara-Al-Utha should enter, the Quintesson instead fired a beam from one of his tentacles, causing the Golden One to fall into the cave and into a huge rock to seal him in the cave's entrance. There, the Golden One remained for the next 12 million years, while Mara-Al-Utha took control of the medieval paradise and became known as the Red Wizard. In 2006, Daniel Witwicky and the Dinobot Grimlock stumbled upon the room of Cybertron containing a transport device which the Quintesson had used to send Mara-Al-Utha and the other Quintesson criminals to other worlds. Grimlock accidentally activated the device, transporting himself and Daniel to Menonia, inadvertently deceived by Mara-Utha, who disguised himself as the Golden One's favorite student, aka a human form. Daniel was in prison with the real student, who he freed. Once they escaped, the elderly Pope led Daniel to the Golden One's prison cave. By this time, several ones had tracked Grimlock and Daniel to Menonia, including his mother, Carly, the Autobot Blaster, and his consent Ramhorn and Steeljaw. Steeljaw's tracking nose led him to Daniel, and Ramhorn's power shattered through the boulders, freeing the Golden One, who rained some of his energy upon the contact with the sunlight. Advised with the Red Wizard's action, the Golden One transformed himself into a mighty, powerful dragon, flew into the castle, and struck the Red Wizard with mystical bolts and reduced his magic, revealing his true Quintesson form. However, the Golden One was vulnerable, and Mara-Al-Utha was easily able to charge him back to the human form with magic. The Golden One told his allies he was too weak to make any counterspells heard, so the blaster converted to his radio cassette deck mode, complete with the microphone for the Golden One to use. With his voice thus amplified, the Golden One was able to cast a spell and sent Mara-Utha to yet another world. The portal from Cybertron then again was opened. The Golden One helped Daniel and Carly and helped the Autobots return through it to their natural place. Now, after learning about this sounds a lot like Quintessa and the Knights of Icon, aka Dragonstorm, right? Everything we learned about Mara-Utha sounds exactly like Quintessa. Again, I think this is the idea of what they used in the Transformers Last Night. Let's kind of refresh our brains on Quintessa. Quintessa is a mysterious and powerful space sorceress. She describes herself as the prime of life, and she claims to have been the creator of the Cybertronian species and considers Cybertrons for hers to command. She has also been referred to as the Great Deceiver. So how much of this is actually true is still up for debate. What does seem to appear true about Quintessa is she is ruthless, a psychopath, and delusional, and overwhelming of her charming personality and that she uses for her own evil, wicked ways, and she's extremely powerful. She seems endeared to the training of Megatron and the noble Optimus Prime as hers to command. Very similar to Mara-Al-Utha. I hope I'm saying this guy's name correctly. I really hope I am. If I'm not, I apologize, guys. Bear with me. Now, the golden one. Let's look about the Knights of Icon. The Knights of Icon, what I know as the Knights of Cybertron, they were 12 Guardian Knights that said to have worked with Quintessa. She claimed that those were her knights and she commanded her knights. And basically they betrayed her. And in the Dark Ages, they came in contact with a native known as Merlin who promised to keep their existence a secret. In 484, Merlin basically begged for their aid because there was a war coming with Saxon and the invading Saxons. Basically, this was at the end of days at this time, and he told them that I have not revealed your secrets. You know, I'm sorry what happened to your home, but please don't let it happen to ours. And basically, the bond between human and Transformer. The knights transformed. Merlin was handed the staff, which we know it basically became his staff to command, and his DNA was formed, and he was the one that commanded the dragon. And the dragon sword came and basically saved Camelot, and the Knights Round Table was established between human and Transformer. And when he inherited this staff, this is when magic was introduced. We saw Excalibur when King Arthur basically inherited the Cybertronian power along with their armor as soon as Merlin got this staff, and he became an actual real wizard. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie, was that big night scene, right? So now let's speculate on this, okay? This basically, in my opinion, is the idea of Quintessa and the Knights of Icon. We know that the King Arthur part, the Raiders Court of the Decepticon Raiders Court, whatever, was where they got the King Arthur idea. This is where I believe Quintessa was created in this live-action universe. Remember, they got this writers team, went through the comics, the concept art, the cartoons, all the previous things of Transformers lore. They dug deep and made this movie. I know some people were disappointed the way it turned out, but I believe this is where Quintessa was created. So let's compare Quintessa and Mara-Al-Utha and see what we get out of this, okay? Now, let's compare both of them. Myra is known as, quote, deceitful. Quintessa was referred to the Guardian Knights as the Great Deceiver. That is literally 1A and 1B. That'd be like the protector and guardian for Hot Rod and Bumblebee. If you look at the definition, it's the exact same definition. That is flat out the same idea, right? The Red Wizard and what we saw Quintessa and the Blue-Purple Wizard. He was known as the Red Wizard at this time. When she became her human form, she was in that wizard robe where she was able to reveal her face when she sees the human, saying, "Don't wake him. He doesn't like that. I can show you how to kill him." Unicron, right? And then we see her kind of Cybertronian form real quick. But they both can turn into human forms and Cybertronian forms. But Quintessa is more of a Cybertronian. The Quintessas were more of an alien Cybertronian. Still the same idea. They both use trickery as a main power source. Manipulation, which she did to Optimus Prime, and what I believe she's doing to Megatron, where we see the red paint inherited, where she claimed herself as the Prime of Life. And the Knights referred to her as the Great Deceiver, that she is a liar, a manipulator. This is not who she is. And Optimus, you fell for her spell, and he almost died. We saw Kay Diego come with Excalibur, one of my favorite parts in the movie, and saved Optimus, right? They're both sorcerers as well. Quintessa is said to have been a great sorcerer, a Cybertronian sorcerer. Mara-Al-Utha was a sorcerer, but a Quintesson sorcerer, right? And both use the swords of lightning as their power. We saw Quintessa use the source of lightning on Optimus, and when she was basically using the night ship to use her power, when she went like this and got all the lightning and everything to drain the power to basically use the core of Cybertron, which she said she was going to the core of Earth that she was going to restore with Cybertron. But lightning, trickery, and brainwashing are both their techniques of power, and they are very, very powerful. Now, if we compare with the golden one with all this, in my opinion, this is Dragonstorm. This is the idea of Dragonstorm. A little bit different, but a little bit the same. They both turn into dragons, the golden one, and obviously the Knights of Icon, the 12 Guardian Knights, become one. They become a dragon. One becomes Dragonstorm, which was phenomenal as well. They both are the rules and protectors of magic. The golden one, in this one, he protected the magic of good in a way. The Guardian Knights did the same thing. They held this staff to keep it away from Quintessa. A little bit different, still same idea. Both protectors of magic, in my opinion. They are both, in a way, protectors of Earth, okay? Knowing that they used the space bridge, that once he was released, he helped Daniel and the other Autobots go back to their home planet. Daniel went back to Earth and Cybertron, and he protected his home world at this time of Earth, which was Menonia, which I believe is Camelot in this idea. They were the protectors and sorcerers of Earth at this time. Again, different thing, still same idea. And they're both peaceful. They're both peaceful dudes, or peaceful guys if you want to get really in depth. But they used their magic and powers for good, and that's what was so unique about the Knights of Icon and the Guardian Knights, whatever you want to call them. The golden one did the same thing. I'm thinking that this is where the actual idea for these two, the 12 Knights and Quintessa, came from, was off this cartoon, this particular cartoon called Madman's Paradise, right? All right, guys, now let's speculate. I'm basing this off of my last video, Optimus created off the seed. I'll leave the link at the end of the video. You can click on it, check it out if you haven't taken off. But basically, I have this idea that Quintessa is connected to the creators of Age of Extinction. This might be the idea of basically the icing on the cake now, is that this is where the writers team used this idea. They got the idea of Quintessa off of this cartoon and created their own live action universe. I'm now thinking, after this cartoon and watching it and reading it, Quintessa might actually be a Quintesson. I've always been a believer that she has some sort of connection to the Quintessons, the live action universe of Quintesson, but she's different. The Quintessons were known as manipulators, cowards, alien-type creatures. They had a little bit Cybertronian. The thing that is very unique about this is that she was banished. I think in the same way, if we go deep with Quintessa down this road of these Transformers movies, this will make a lot of sense that the Quintessons would banish Quintessa. They are not powerful. They're more cowards at heart. They're hustlers. They are out for themselves. They're succubuses in a way. They travel from universe to universe using space bridge to consume up the energies of other life sources and take slaves. And Quintessa, being powerful, she would be banished. She would be banished in her own way because she'd be a threat to them. I'm thinking Quintessa is an actual Quintesson sorcerer that was banished by her own kind, right? Her power is magic, the creation of magic. She used magic plan to use her staff to restore Cybertron using the core from Earth, aka Unicron, to save Cybertron. She was also used this magic to make Optimus under her control and Megatron under her control. Even though they didn't confirm it, they didn't show it, which just kind of sucks. Megatron still has that red paint as well. That could be the brother connection. Let's pretend it actually is the actual infection of Quintessa, because once we saw Bumblebee speak, Optimus became Optimus Prime again. She has knowledge of the Transformers. Being she calls herself the Prime of Life, I'm thinking, being that she is a Quintesson, she inherited the knowledge from her own kind and knew about the Transformers, right? Now, we know the Quintessons created the cog, which is actually the inner core of the Transformer, which gives the ability for a Cybertronian to transform into a beast or a vehicle mode. Not the spark, not the actual spark, the cog, the actual... That's what the Quintessons created and inherited the Transformers, and they became known, claimed themselves as God, and the Transformers did worship them because they gained this extra attribute. The Quintessons were very good with technology. Kind of way, so is Quintessa, but again, she's very powerful. I'm now thinking, too, also, that Quintessa could have actually, in a way, did create her own Transformers. Being that she is a sorcerer, she has the ability of magic, she knows the cog system, she is a Quintesson, let's say in this, a Quintesson sorcerer, almost like a Quintesson witch, where I'm thinking she could have created her own Transformers. And I'm referring to as maybe Optimus Prime, which she referred to her Optimus as her perfect creation. And I believe possibly she created Infernicus, or Infernicons that became Infernicus. Those were her creations, of which she learned from the technology from her own ways, being that she is a sorcerer Quintesson. Again, this is a speculation channel. The Quintessons, feared anyone who had powers above them. And Quintessa certainly is very powerful, right? Lightning is her strongest attribute other than manipulation and trickery. Lightning she used to electrocute Optimus Prime as a source of torture when he was chained up there, when she was brainwashing him. Lightning is the main source of power of her abilities, again with the sorcerer. Same as Mara. They both use lightning as their power source, right? Mind control and manipulation, they both had that same idea. Now, the main thing that was very interesting is when Mara turned into the Golden One's favorite student. He became a human form. He became what I know as a pretender, where you can do a human form or a Cybertronian form. She did the same thing at the very end when she talked to that human and explained to Unicron, where she reviewed herself and said, don't kill, I can teach you how to kill Unicron. She can do the same exact thing as Mara. They can go from human to Cybertronian, right? This is kind of where I'm going to kind of really get into some hardcore speculation. Again, this is a speculation channel. When she studied the Transformers, she planned to take over and rule Cybertron for herself. I'm thinking maybe she actually did create the Guardian Knights. And I'm also thinking maybe Quintessa was originally good, okay? And maybe her sorcery and her powers were not built for bad originally during this time of their rule on Cybertron. That she wanted to create her own knights to protect her from her own kind. And obviously, the more powerful you become, the more obsessed you become, the more evil and corrupt you become. And then that's when the knights that she possibly created referred to her as the Great Deceiver. And also, I'm thinking that maybe when these times where they discovered Cybertron, she could have been fascinated by these creatures. When the Quintessons came down, and I believe at this time during Beast Era, she was fascinated by the Transformers, okay? She, in a way, maybe took some form from them, being that she's a sorcerer. She could also be a direct human and could have got radiation off the seed. That's another one of my videos I'll leave at the end. We're focusing on Myra and her connection, where she actually could have been fascinated and took some Cybertronian form, where she could be infected with the radiation, kind of like the Golden One, but with Cybertronian metal, aka the seed in a way, okay? She knew the Quintessons were evil and wanted to destroy everything at this time. Again, I'm referring to her as her being good before she returns bad. Now, with all of this technology and magic, she learned about the Transformers, and in a way, probably knew the Quintessons wanted her head and the bounty on her. So she inherited the Guardian Knights and maybe Optimus Prime and Infernicus to protect her. And it didn't acknowledge in the movie, but in the toy of the Infernicus toy, Infernicus is her protector and her guardian in a way. He serves her and listens to her command, exactly like a sorcerer would. Now, let's move on to when her being bad. I believe now she was banished in a way. She could have been banished on Earth, used the space bridge, manipulated the technology, and when the Quintessons came down, which I think are in Transformers Age of Extinction, she could have also got the radiation that way and was able to get her Cybertronian form, or maybe in a way learned the human technology. She could have maybe killed the human and became Gemma Chang, and that's where she got her pretender form. Maybe the first human, the Adam and Eve idea. I know it's weird, but Transformers lore, they do this crazy stuff where they would do something crazy. I mean, we're talking about Merlin, right? We're talking about Merlin and King Arthur. That she could have killed the first human and taken the form, taken the body, and basically transformed to become the pretender look in a way, right? And being that she was able to manipulate the technology, and she could have created her own space bridge off of her creation, like the Quintesson creation, created a space bridge of herself to go back in time, go in Earth whenever she wanted to, and maybe gather up that transformium, the seed technology for her own stuff to keep producing technology. She might also need this technology to survive herself. The Knight ship we know was in the ocean. We know that the Knights were sworn to protect the staff, and they hid the Knight ship after the Knights Round Table and everything was formed, and this bond of the Woodwickens was formed to protect the staff. And we know Merlin's DNA became formed. When Vivian touches the staff, it affects Quintessa. She is connected to the humans itself, too. That was the only one who could destroy her, was the actual DNA of Merlin. That could also, I know people would say that would be where, the heritage of passing of the staff to Merlin, that's where it was actually inherited. Let's say it's not. Let's say her actual weakness is the pretender transform that she took off of a human, and that's what actually can kill Quintessa, a touch of a female in a way, aka Vivian. Now, in let's say Cybertron is what she's trying to save, and that's what she convinces Optimus to save. We know Cybertron is Primus. Primus is Cybertron, Cybertron Primus. Unicron is Earth, and that's how she basically creates Optimus to become evil. What if this is not actually Cybertron again? What if this is Quintessa's new idea of her planet? She's not wanted on her planet, which is actually the planet Quintessa is the name of the Quintesson planet. She's banished from there. Earth is Unicron. She's not wanted anywhere. Maybe she's trying to create her own planet and start her own civilization where she can be the actual leader and the sorcerer of the galaxies and claim herself as God. That's why she needed Megatron and Optimus, right? The Knights, she could have created the Knights of Cybertron and they took the staff and knew her hostile takeover, knew her plan, and the Knights being powerful, wise, brave warriors, and extremely educated, they took the staff because basically we create one evil for a greater evil. Now, this is where I'm going to finally leave this out, okay? Is that what if she wants to now use Unicron to defeat the creators, defeat the Quintessons? In a way, she wants revenge, and she needs Unicron to retrieve that. And maybe she thinks, being that she's so stubborn, she's a sorcerer, she's used to magic, she's used to manipulation as her big tool, that she can manipulate the end game known as Unicron. Unicron don't play that. Unicron bows down to no one, but a sorcerer, an evil, wicked Quintesson known as Quintessa would possibly think she possibly could control Unicron as her new puppet. Now, finally, this is the last speculation I'm going to leave you with. What if, when she saw Optimus in the in her ignition chamber, where she actually held Optimus and educated him about the Knights stealing her staff, and she needs Optimus to retrieve him? What if this was actually her real creation? What if she actually created Orion Pax? The reason why I'm saying this is that she referred to him again as her creation, and then we saw her turn evil, and she referred to him as Nemesis Prime, right? That could have been her idea, where she was trying to create her own Prime. The Quintessons are connected to the Primes, are connected to Unicron and Primus, where she wanted to create her own Prime. Maybe at this time for good, but now it's bad, where she actually built Orion Pax. The Knights knew what she was bound to do. Maybe that they are, again, created by her. They saved Orion Pax. They took Orion Pax. They not only took the staff away, they actually took Orion Pax away and brought him maybe to Alpha Trion. And now we see Optimus Prime. Her whole goal at the time could have been to create Nemesis Prime to basically get back at her own. Remember what Optimus Prime says? Who dares challenge me? Stuff like that, where she was planning on using Orion Pax to actually at that time in the 500 million times time zone to create Optimus Prime, aka Nemesis Prime, where she was going to use him to start her takeover and make herself and claim herself as God. So there you guys go. I hope you enjoyed that speculation. Yes, Mara-Al-Utha and Quintessa. Very similar ideas, plots, and events. And I think this is where the idea of Quintessa was making. Guys, we actually might be stepping into Quintesson territory. Quintessa might be the evil sorcerer of the Quintessons. And she wants to reign it all for herself. And in a way, if the Quintessons do come down, this will portray her and back up the Knights code as that she is the great deceiver. She is a liar. Just like the Quintessons are liars, so is she, but she didn't create anything. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that speculation. Yeah, once again, the Quintessons, man, I think we're getting into that territory, and I hope they're going down this road. We got the Bumblebee spinoff coming down. This is the speculation after the Bumblebee spinoff, and hopefully for future things to come. So if you're into Transformers lore and speculations, this is a community for you. We dig deep in the lore of Transformers. To my subscribers, I love you so much. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. Make sure to follow me at Twitter at Prime Speculator. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Last Prime Speculator. And make sure to give a like button on the Transformers Last Prime Speculator Facebook page. Again, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and hit that like button on Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that like button, guys. Again, to my subscribers, I love you so much. This is your guys' community. I'm just the face of the franchise. Without you, there ain't no LPS, and I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being so supportive and always enjoying my speculation. I do it for you guys at the end of the day. Like I said, this is your community. I'm just the face of the franchise, and I'm very blessed to have you guys a part of it. So, guys, love you so much. LPS, Last Prime Speculator. Peace.